This is a very tragic day, not only for the Jewish community of Pittsburgh, but for the United States. And particularly for me, a Holocaust survivor. I never thought that after the Nazi tyranny ended, coming to this land of freedom, I would see anti-Semitism not only in Europe, but even in our own country. So, Mayor, your presence here, you've been here on happy occasions, and we welcome the Chief Rabbi of France.
Yes.
Your presence here is really reassuring the Jewish community, and Chief Monahan, your presence, Laura President, Senator, you're reassuring the Jewish community in New York that we are safe, because any attack on a house of worship is really going for the jugular of a faith community. If you want to attack a church, a mosque, a temple, or a synagogue, those hate mongers are ready to kill, regardless of who you are. So thank you for the protection, for your commitment, for safety, and we are particularly proud of our neighbor. We're very fortunate. We have the 19th precinct. Yes. Not every synagogue is that fortunate.
A good neighbor.
But again, we can't thank you enough. I'm off to Pittsburgh to show our solidarity with an Interfaith Appeal of Conscience Foundation delegation. And I know that all New Yorkers will stand with our brothers and sisters in Pittsburgh, and we pray for the freedom that we have enjoyed in this blessed land, and God bless America, and God bless our great city and state of New York. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you so much. Rabbi, thank you. I want everyone to recognize that Rabbi Schneier is one of the great faith leaders of this city and its nation. And his voice is one of conscience and harmony. And we wanted to gather here to send a message to all New Yorkers, and especially a message to all New Yorkers, and especially to Jewish New Yorkers, that we stand with you. We are here to keep you safe. We're here to make sure that this city is a city that always protects our own. Rabbi Schneier, you know from your whole lifetime of experience what happens when hatred is allowed to grow. We will not allow hatred to grow in New York City. We will not allow the voices of hate here. We will not allow acts of violence here. And the best way to ensure that this remains a place of peace is to make sure that houses of worship are protected, that the entire Jewish community is protected. And I want to thank the community, thank all the leaders of the community for all they are doing. I want to thank Borough President Gail Brewer and Senator Liz Kruger for being here and for all they do on behalf of the community. You'll hear from Chief Monahan in a moment, but I want to take this opportunity to thank the members of the Critical Response Command, the CRC, NYPD's elite anti-terrorism unit, for the extraordinary work they do and for all the work that the men and women of the NYPD do to protect not only this whole city, but to protect those who are most vulnerable in these times when we see terror raise its head. An attack on the Jewish community anywhere is an attack on our Jewish community as well. That's how we see it. When we see an attack anywhere in the world, the NYPD swings into action. We need to send a message that we will never tolerate anti-Semitism, that we don't take it lightly, that we don't look the other way, we don't sweep it under the rug. We need to understand that anti-Semitism is tragically alive and well in this country, and it must be stopped. And it's a very painful time right now in this country after this week we went through in New York City, where we saw letter bombs going to people simply because of their beliefs, and then the weekends with an attack on a house of worship during a religious ceremony. It's a painful time, and it's a time when hatred has been allowed to spread too far. But we as New Yorkers have a chance to be part of the solution, because this city has always stood for understanding and for mutual respect. We have an opportunity to be a beacon to this nation right now by showing what it means to actually embrace each other and support each other. And that begins with supporting this Jewish community, the largest Jewish community of any city on the earth. Showing them today, with a strong NYPD presence, that synagogues will be protected, community institutions will be protected, that we stand with them shoulder to shoulder. I want to emphasize to everyone, despite this tragedy, there's no credible and specific threat directed at any Jewish institutions in New York City at this moment. But we do not take this situation lightly nonetheless. We will be having a strong presence at community institutions in the days ahead. And it's important for people to know that we regard this as part of a solemn duty in this city. And this is how we should react in a moment like this. But I have to take exception to something that was said earlier today. I have to be very clear, and it's no time for politics, but it is a time to talk about our values. We should never blame the victims in an attack like this. We should never suggest that a house of worship has to have an armed guard for people to be able to go about their religious observance. That's not America. That's certainly not New York City. We do not require houses of worship to have an armed guard. We as a community, as a city, stand for each other. We protect each other. And we rely on and we depend on and we believe in the NYPD. That is what a peaceful, functioning society is supposed to look like. Not a society where everyone has to be armed or has to fear that they won't get through their worship service. So we're going to keep building that society here in New York City. And I want to say our hearts go out to the people of Pittsburgh, to all the members of the Tree of Life Synagogue, to the whole community that's mourning right now. We mourn with you. Our hearts are with you. Our prayers are with you. With that, I want to turn to Chief Monahan to give you a quick additional update. I got you. I got you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Rabbi. First off, on behalf of the NYPD, I want to extend my condolences to the victims, family members, and congregants of today's shooting at the Tree of Life congregation in Pittsburgh, and also to the hero police officers that responded and were wounded out there. Based on the information we received, there is absolutely no nexus to New York, and there are no credible threats to New York at this time. Out of an abundance of caution, the NYPD has deployed officers from the Critical Response Command and the Strategic Response Group to houses of worship. These officers, who are equipped with heavy weapons, have been deployed to locations throughout the city. In addition, NYPD officers in every precinct throughout the city are visiting sensitive locations to ensure the safety of all New Yorkers. Thousands of officers, many of them active shooter trained, are vigilant and patrolling our city. We want to take this opportunity to remind all New Yorkers that public safety is a shared responsibility, and to remember, if you see something, say something. Anyone who observes suspicious behavior should call 888-NYC-SAFE or dial 911. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Just one last word. Again, all New Yorkers are so appreciative to the men and women of the NYPD, to all the specialized units, the CRC, the SRG, the ESU, and everyone at the precinct level who's defending and protecting houses of worship right now. We thank all of you, and our hearts go out to the members of law enforcement in Pittsburgh. They helped to save a number of lives today, but they came under fire too. This atmosphere of hatred, think about it, when it leads to attacks on houses of worship, attacks on our media, attacks on law enforcement. This is not acceptable. This is not the America we've known, and it's not the America that we will accept. We together will create something better, something safer, something more peaceful, something more respectful. And Rabbi, thank you again to you and to all of your congregants. We stand with you. Thank you, and God bless you all.
I'd like to quote to you a German poet, Heinrich Heine. In the 19th century, he wrote, "Those who burn books will burn human beings." And I changed that statement. Those who burn synagogues, and we're going to remember on November 9th, the Kristallnacht. I was there in Vienna when my synagogue burned. And those who burned the synagogues burned my family in Auschwitz. So thank you, Mayor, and all the elected officials, police department. In Vienna, I stood by when my synagogue was burning, and the police and fire didn't worry about saving that synagogue. They were worried about the neighboring buildings. So God bless all the men and women of our police, FBI, state troopers. And I have a plea. Yes, we're on safe hands under your leadership. But synagogues and churches and temples and mosques also have to take security measures. We're spending a fortune of money to protect our children, our congregants. So there's an allocation by Homeland Security, by the state of New York. And I turn to you. Carolyn is here too. I think it would be very, very important, because of the time we live in, to increase that financial support, both from the federal and state and city government, so that the churches and houses of worship will be able to carry, jointly with the law enforcement agencies, the threat by the hate mongers. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you.
Get the right side here. Which way are we going? This way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Come in for a second, Warner.
I got you. Guys, thanks very much. Well done. Thank you.